handling children of different ability levels, especially in this case with cerebral palsy, where usually these children have complete learning ability. Their issue is physical, it's bodily. I like to use a philosophy that I call parallel and perpendicular planning. I'm sure that there are actual educational terms for this. Like, I can't have come up with this, I know that. But it's just my way of describing these ideas, and I'll go into them further. So let's take an example where a group of children is playing the game Multiplication Rope Bridge. The story is that 4 to 8 kids of the class are on a rickety rope bridge over a ravine, just like in a jungle or an adventure movie. The rope bridge is represented by plate-sized circles on the floor. The only way the students can step forward on the rickety bridge is if they step together. But the only way to step forward is to answer a multiplication problem given to the whole group. Rhythm is kept with a drum or tambourine, and keeping the rhythm is important because the kids have to answer in one voice. If one person slips up, no one moves forward. If everyone gets it right, then they each get to jump forward a circle. Every round, another child finishes the bridge and goes to the end of the line, and then another child gets on the bridge and the pattern starts again, circling and circling as people get to keep jumping forward as they answer correctly in one voice. So getting students out of their chairs is an incredibly important part of education for me. I was, and in many ways still am, an incredibly fidgety learner. Being left alone with a textbook to memorize facts quietly at a desk is a personal hell for me. However, how should a teacher who wants to get their class up and on their feet handle a situation where one of their kids can't stand? In my mind, and of course I'm still just in intro classes, so I'm sure there are many more ways to handle this than just what I've come across at summer camps and tutoring lessons and things like that, and working in classrooms, blah, blah, blah. But in my mind, there are kind of 2 main ways to handle this scenario. And that's going back to those terms that I kind of made to describe this, which is the parallel route and the perpendicular route. The parallel route involves the student playing as close of a game as possible to the rest of the children. Perhaps a student with cerebral palsy's aide can assist them in their wheelchair from dot to dot, or maybe the student is in a motorized chair. If they are verbal, they can shout out their answers with the other students. If they are nonverbal and have a means of communication like a typing pad or a writing board, they can use those means. The parallel route means that you are trying to stay as close to the original mechanics of the activity or the lesson or the game as much as possible, and just allowing different ways to achieve the same mechanics. Games like multiplication tightrope are designed to be team building, and as important as the mathematics skills the children are practicing, they are also learning how to work together with empathy and enthusiasm. Instead of competition, it's a game based in cooperation and being a piece of a whole. Even in a classroom of all able-bodied students, it's that way. These morals are incredibly important to any classroom, not just one with differently abled children. And then there's the perpendicular route. In this case, should the student with cerebral palsy not be able to participate in the movement aspect of the game, even in their mobility device, I would try to enact a perpendicular route. Perhaps the kid gets to shake a rhythm egg as much as they please while you, the teacher, keep time with the main drum. Perhaps they choose a student to be their partner who will jump in their stead while they answer the questions to the beat from the position with you. Or perhaps their aide, or even you yourself will be that partner, and much to the joy of the students who will love seeing an adult jump around and act silly. Also, an incredibly important part, especially with students with CP, is to keep the students themselves in the loop. Ask them their opinions and give them options to choose from, and the opportunity to suggest their own opinions. Games and activities like this are there to make school engaging and to incite the other senses other than just the eyes, and the listening ears. Keeping that goal in mind, make a plan for the student with cerebral palsy that allows them to activate other senses and sensations. Playing with texture, temperature, noise, and having the opportunity for free, unjudged motion at whatever ability level is important for any child. They're important releases from the day. Sometimes, though, you gotta call a spade a spade. A student with cerebral palsy understands that they are different, and in a way, trying to never acknowledge that condition is in its own way patronizing. They understand that sometimes they must take a different route to the finish line than others. The important thing to teach the whole class is that there is no one right way to learn or to be. As for resources I would look for as a teacher of a child with cerebral palsy, there is the Special Education Support Services, or SES. Their goal is for individuals with special needs to achieve their highest accomplishments in school and experience every aspect of school life. This one isn't exactly just for cerebral palsy, but I would still reach out to them if that was the case. Then there's specifically cerebral palsy guidance. But yes, the cerebral palsy guidance helps parents of children with cerebral palsy with information. And my logic is that if the information is, so good that it's for the actual parents of CP children themselves, it'll definitely help in the classroom. They offer articles on many, many topics. The goal is to connect as many people as possible in the cerebral palsy community, which is always amazing. Then there's the Brooks Publishing Company, which is a place to find resources, which helps teachers of inclusive classrooms be able to assist all their students' potential to learn and grow and belong, which is very important. Brooks believes any child deserves to reach their full potential, and you can't really argue with that. No matter what their ability, background, learning difference, or challenge may be, it shouldn't halt their potential, and that's sort of the byline of Brooks Publishing Company. Once again, not specifically for cerebral palsy, but I would still go say hi to them and their books. 4 is Teaching for Inclusion. It's a website, it's an amazing website, that gives suggestions for creating and teaching suitable and interesting lessons for inclusive classrooms. It provides a tool which allows teachers to create individualized plans for the kids, and it also can help diagnose issues in your classroom environment and give suggestions on how to fix that. The last one is Teachnology, whose goal is to provide resources for teachers to improve education. Once again, lessons, plans, worksheets, rubrics, teaching tips, worksheet makers, web quests, math worksheets, and other resources. And it's designed specifically for K through 12. Once again, not for CP specifically, but just an amazing resource in general. And lastly, there is that building in Livingston, which is the Cerebral Palsy Foundation of New Jersey, which is a place for families and people with cerebral palsy themselves to go and find out as much information, as well as to seek community and aid in any way they so choose. They're all amazing places to go. So yes, that's the very long cerebral palsy PowerPoint presentation. I have been Christy Petillo, and thank you so much for listening to my many lists.